Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm back to share with you some tips to help you make a monthly budget. These tips I personally think that can be very helpful for people who are completely new to budgeting, so for beginners, but also if you've been doing budgets for a while, then you can still find this video helpful somehow. I personally have done monthly budgets for years now and I love it. It's the thing that kind of gets my life together. It really changed the way I approach myself to consuming and managing money and all that good stuff. Before that, I used to keep track of all of my expenses. I did it for quite a while, but it wasn't really bringing me anywhere because even though I was writing every single euro that I was spending, and I was writing it down, it didn't really make a lot of sense because I didn't know how I was managing that money. I'll be looking down at my notes, so if I just don't look, I'm sorry if I just don't look straight at the camera, but I want to make sure that I don't forget anything. The first thing that I like to do is look at my calendar for planned events and expenses. I do have a specific section on my bullet journal, which is kind of a yearly spread in which I note down in advance all of the things that I know already that are going to happen on that certain month. So let's say there's an event, a trip, maybe I have planned to invest into something and I think that that month would be a good time to make it. I'll just write everything down and then I take these things, of course, into consideration whenever it's time for me to sit down and plan for the upcoming month, and I create those categories according to the things that I already have on my calendar. So in this way I know that whenever I create the categories and I plan all of my expenses for the month, I won't be forgetting anything. Whenever it's possible, I like to make my monthly budget starting from a lower income. According to the planned expenses and events that I know that are already coming, I know already what to expect from that month. So whenever it's possible and there's nothing too big or crazy happening or I don't have any kind of emergency, I know that I can start making my budget using a lower income. The remaining part of the real income is automatically saved, is automatically there for me on set aside, and I won't even touch it because I make my monthly budget work using that lower income. This is a great way to save some extra money, and it is also a great way to, be covered and be prepared in case an emergency happens. This is a thing that I normally do whenever it's possible, whenever I can, according to, my planned expenses for each one of the months of the year. But something that I definitely do no matter what is to make sure that I consider the savings category as one of my top prior categories. No matter how little money I can set aside on a certain month, but I always make sure that I have some money set aside. I think it's really important to prioritize and learn that you always should pay yourself first, and including a savings categories of one of your top most important categories in your budget is a great way to start doing that and to, make sure that you always have some money set aside every single month. And this brings me to my next point. You want to learn to prioritize. Whenever I make my monthly budget, I always start from the categories that I know that I have to take care of no matter what. And that would be my rent, the bills. I personally don't have a car, but I do have a yearly pass for public transportation and I get charged for that pass on a monthly basis. So then there's the savings category, then there's everything that's important, and I want to start from those categories first, and I keep subtracting them from my starting income, and then I proceed with the other categories kind of in order of importance, and I keep on assigning money to each one of the categories that I have according to the planned expenses or events for the month, and I'll keep, I work my way down until I've made all of the categories. When it comes to food, I personally don't have a specific amount of money for the groceries category every single month. What I like to do is simply create all of my categories and assign money according to that and subtracting them from the starting income. And the money that I'm left with when all of the categories are sorted is the amount of money that is destined towards my groceries. I divide that amount per 4, which are the 4 weeks of the month. And if for some reason I realize that that money is not sufficient to provide enough groceries for the week, I kind of like to rearrange the categories starting from the least important ones, because of course I want to make sure that I have some money set aside for food. So I kind of rearrange some of the categories and see if there's something that I can take out, because there's definitely something that I can take out, some money that I can take out of the least important categories, and I'll put it towards food. So in this way, I always know that I have enough money to provide for me and babe groceries. And if some of the categories is not that important, then I can always postpone it to the next month. But I always want to make sure that I have money for the things that are important. The most important thing to keep into consideration when prioritizing is that all of the categories added together should bring to the initial amount you started with. Or to put it differently, if you subtract all of the categories from your starting income, the amount should always be 0 at the end. So you want to make sure that each one of the euros that you have in your starting income is assigned to a different category. Don't leave anything open, because that's probably not going to work very well. Don't leave anything open, and assign each one of your euros to a category. My next tip would be adjust along the way. This is something that I do. And if for some reason you find yourself spending a little bit more than planned, you want to make sure that you rearrange the categories and you take that extra money that you spent out of another category. For example, let's say that I have a birthday celebration with babe, and I've set aside, I don't know, 50 euros to go out on a dinner together, but I happen to spend 70 euros. Those extra 20 that I've spent, I still have to make them work within my budget, my starting budget. So I just want to take those extra 20 euros out of another category. So something that I can probably do without, or I can work with a lower budget, but I want to take those extra 20 euros and put them towards the event that I just did, so towards the dinner. But just because I spent some extra money, I still have to make it work within the initial budget that I set for myself. The point of doing this is realizing that we can't do it all. So the real thing, like the real meaning of a successful monthly budget, is help you spend your money wisely, to manage them wisely, and to save at the end of the month. So by doing this little trick, so kind of bringing money from one category to the other, is going to help you stay within your boundaries. My next tip would be about extra cash. If you have some extra cash, just pretend that you don't even have it. For example, I am a content creator on YouTube, and so I make some extra money out of YouTube every single month. The thing is, I don't take this extra money as an excuse to spend it. I like to set it aside, because in this way, when it comes times in which I really need that money, I have plenty of it. I know that I'm sure, and I know that I'm covered, and I can invest in the things that I really want to make. If you sell something on eBay or a local flea market, just take that extra cash and set it aside. Pretend that it's just not even there, and continue working with the initial original budget that you've planned and that you made. This is a great way to help you save some extra money on top of the one that you're already saving, because remember, there is the savings category in your budget, and probably you even started with a lower income. So extra cash are always a good thing. You want to make sure that you note them down, so you know exactly how much extra cash you have and how much money you're actually saving that month. But do not take, just because you have some extra money, do not always take it as an excuse to spend it. My next tip would be create a system that works for you. I know that there's people that are all about digital and Google spreadsheets and apps and digital calendars, and that's wonderful, that's awesome. But when it comes to getting my life together, I am personally super old school. So this is what works for me. This is my system. I sit down with my phone, because I use the calculator, with a pen, a piece of scrap paper so I can make my notes, and then my bullet journal so I can report my budget in there once everything is sorted out. This is my system, this is my method, and how it works for me. And you just want to get started and find something that works for you according to your life and your needs. And finally, this is super, super, super duper important. You want to make sure that you keep track of every single euro or dollar or whatever that you spend and that you make, even when you're on the go, even when you're out and about. Like I said, if you're about digital stuff, so you have an app that automatically updates your spreadsheet, that's awesome. But personally, when I'm out and about, I still continue to keep track of my expenses. And that's just a very simple habit. It doesn't require you anything particularly fancy. Whenever I spend something and I'm on the go, I just take my phone, I open a new note, and I just simply write down how much I spent and on what. So let's say coffee, €1.50. Laundry detergent, €4. I just keep on tracking these expenses and keeping track of these expenses. And simply whenever I come home or just on a daily basis, usually before going to bed, I like to update my monthly budget on my bullet journal by simply taking these notes that I've taken throughout the day and writing down each one of the expenses for the related categories, and that's pretty much it. But the core point of a functioning, working, successful monthly budget is to have the exact idea of how much money you make and how much money you spend. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to let me know by giving this video a big thumbs up. And if there's anything that you would like to ask me, request me on this topic, also money saving, money budgeting, or pretty much on anything else, you can drop me a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you still haven't. You will find links to my Instagram, my blog, and I have a Facebook page now in the description box below, so you can always see what I'm up to. And yeah, that's pretty much it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!